Welcome to Leadership Luminaries Lounge with Kerry Bass and Peggy O'Neal, a podcast about the connection of leadership, philosophy, practice, and impact on society. Get ready to be illuminated.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the next episode of Leadership Luminaries Lounge. And we have another wonderful guest today. And so I'd like for Peggy, if you would please, to introduce our guest.
Yes, I'm excited to introduce Brigitte Bojkowszky. And her main focus in her work is empowering corporations and entrepreneurs worldwide to craft and refine distinctive brand identities, cultivate cultures rooted in shared values, and deliver exceptional client experiences, guiding them toward their brand's nature so that they attract the recognition that they truly deserve. Additionally, Brigitte specializes in leadership branding, bolstering the presence of executives, ensuring their impact is felt with crystal clarity and unwavering confidence, navigating the complexities of the modern business landscape with ease and grace. So welcome, Brigitte. We're so excited that you're here with us. And she lives in Austria, so we are thrilled to have an international presence with us today.
Fantastic. That introduction made me a little bit nervous. If desire probably fits my, but the brand that I deserve may be kind of scary. The brand that I deserve.
I don't think she meant it that way, Kerry.
The brand that you deserve is what you make out of it and what you project to the world. So you decide. It's all in your hands. So first of all, Peggy, Kerry, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure being here with you, talking about branding and leadership and how that goes together and how one cannot actually live without the other because we are all leading our own ship.
Mm-hmm.
And, so thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah, it's a
real beautiful launch.
Well, thank you. This is one of our latest locations, virtual locations. So we're looking forward to continuing to try out new ones here. But Brigitte, kind of tell us a little bit more about you. How did you get into this area, and how did you decide to make branding your subject matter expertise area?
Okay, so my journey is a very unconventional journey, and I started out in the skies. So basically from the sky into the boardroom to becoming an entrepreneur. And in the sky, it was a flight attendant for several years when I was very, very young. I always say it was in my previous life because it seems like, a lifetime ago. And I can say it's about 3 decades ago that I started flying, more than that. And it was impacting my life insofar because I became a global citizen. I got an understanding of diverse cultures, of diverse mentalities, of serving people on a very, very high quality level. That's where my passion for excellence is coming from. So that's my tagline, passion for brand excellence, because I really want to live up to my customers' expectations and really serve in my best possible version. And that's where it was coming from. So when you serve in the sky, in business class, in first class, it's you wanna, provide and serve in a very high regard or manner. So and I was intellectually not really challenged. After several years, decided to start studying because flying and studying at that time was not possible. So I decided to jump plane and started as a student, started all over again, studying international marketing and management and business education. So that was two-pronged. One is business administration and international, and the other one becoming a certified teacher, professor, trainer, And so if you want to call it coach. I was specializing in international marketing and management in English because I'm coming from a German background, and also personal development within organizations. That's where the leadership aspect is coming from. Apart from that, I also did a leadership training certification. And then I was in corporate. I was in diverse companies. The last one, I was the head of market research, and that was during the time the financial crisis kicked in 2008. And that experience, when I lost my job in a real estate development company, was that you need to know who you are, regardless of the company that you're working for. Because when I lost my job, I so-called lost my identity as well, because I was so much living and breathing organization. And then there was no organization anymore from one day to the next. So I needed to find myself. I was going through a self-discovery journey. And at that time, I really understood what it means to define yourself as a person and give yourself an identity and live it and breathe it. So that is personal branding. You need to know what you are projecting to the world and what kind of perception you create, or what kind of what identity you are representing, so that your stakeholders, your audience, that is creating a specific image of you, and that the identity that you are sending out is aligned with that image that people have in their minds and in their hearts and what they feel. So as a brand, whether it's an organizational brand, company brand, whatever level of brand it is, it can also be an experience. An experience can be a brand too. Go to Disney World. It's an experience, it's a brand. But you want to make people feel, and you want to make sure how, and want to make sure and be intentional of what other people feel about you, because you can control to a certain extent. You're responsible what you are sending out. So so that is in a nutshell. And then I also, during the time of this financial recession, I started teaching at the university more and more, so became a full-time professor. And right before COVID started, I started my own business. And now I'm a brand identity strategist and a business educator. Yeah, here I am.
Fantastic. You know, it was funny, just sharing a little bit as we were getting prepared for our conversation. We were talking about how that the universe or spirit providential seems to lead you to opportunities and challenges that seem to get you to a different place. And that was just kind of hearing that resonate in your story. That was really interesting. How the metaphorically having you fly in the skies, but being a servant, then getting into service in a different way by helping leaders become better leaders. That's really fantastic.
And I always had a problem with visibility. I was more the person early in my life to hiding behind. So with every stage, and it's like a puzzle that you put together, I pushed myself to be out of my comfort zone. As a flight attendant, to be out there in the cabin, and then being the head of the cabin, and then, as a corporate in a leading position, you're putting yourself out there. As a professor, you are putting yourself out there. There are 500 people in the classroom. You are putting yourself out there. So you're always in the spotlight somehow. And so I was pushing myself. Come on, you can do that. Come on, you can do that. So when I became a head of when I was promoted to a person, it was like, now I have to do an announcement. So I was hiding in the galley at the beginning because I was so insecure of myself. Yeah. What if, and what if, and what if you cannot finish the sentence? You just, black out or something like that. But I was pushing myself. And, it's all about preparation and repetition. And
Yeah,
you need enough to conquer so-called failures, which are not in fact, but you're learning from that. And who is judging you and showing and pointing with a finger at you, then ask yourself, will they be able to do the same? Are they bold enough to put themselves out there? Because it's always easier to point fingers at someone when you do not need to do it yourself.
Yeah.
So I just try to, let this go, disregard that. It's not easy.
Sorry for interrupting. So a couple of thoughts around that I'm going to guess that experience of you allowing yourself to step out there has really given you the ability to probably hear leaders in a certain way to help pull them out of themselves or see themselves. And so if you don't mind speaking to that, how you find leaders that coming to wanting the branding, how aware are they of themselves and how do you support that? And then your process of how you work with people to develop their brand.
I would say, branding is always a process. Yeah, it's a dynamic process that reflects who you are at your core, while also conveying your uniqueness to the world on the way, on the go, on the journey. Because branding is not a one-time exercise or activity. It's really an ongoing thing. You're reshaping continuously. You're becoming continuously. It's your brain is always evolving with you.
That's so powerful. I really want to pause and emphasize that because I hadn't really thought about it before we started this today. And so I kind of thought, oh, like a lot of companies, we have a brand and it just stays there for a long time. So I really appreciate that you're emphasizing with people and with us that it's an evolving process. So we don't want to think of it as, oh, I'm branded, I'm done, this is it, and to stay awake. So I appreciate that. And so now if you keep going around all of that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it never stops. It's an ongoing process because with every experience you are elevating, and with every experience you're taking on something new and internalizing that, and it's becoming a foundation of you to elevate to the next level. So that has something to do with a growth mindset. And that's what Carol Dweck is also talking about. That I think, and it has something to do also with your aspirations, that what you want to become in the future, because it's when you see yourself as something that is always going through a dynamic process. Then there is no standstill. There is nothing to remain in a comfort zone. It's something to the next level. And usually a person who is working on their personal brand, on their leadership brand, you are going towards a vision. You have something out there, a North Star that you are striving for with a certain passion, because that's something that fuels you. You have a certain purpose to achieve that specific vision. So and when you have a growth mindset, then you're always developing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Brigitte, that brings up another kind of question, and I'm kind of the cliche guy too, but you probably heard the term "fake it until you make it." But it sounds like a lot of what you're expressing, and also what I believe, is that leaders really have to have a lot of core integrity. And from your perspective, how I want to say easy or realistic is it for a leader to have a brand that's different from who they really are? How much does the leader's character and nature shine through to the brand? And what if you have a large organization that the board, so to speak, wants to create a brand? How important is it that they find leaders that match the culture of the brand that they want to create?
So first of all, that are a lot of interesting questions that you are asking. And so when it comes to brand identity, authenticity is the foundation. And integrity is the cornerstone. It goes along with that. So you can't fake it till you make it. This is impossible. From my perspective as a brander, and also being in leadership or strategic branding, let's say it like that, or shaping identities, but it's because ultimately your true personality will always shine through, because authenticity creates trust, and which in turn is the currency of leadership. You want to create trust. You want people buy into your vision. Yeah. And if your actions don't align with who you truly are, people will eventually see through the facade, the mask that you're having on. And this will erode your credibility, and this will erode the. So one of the biggest challenges, of course, that leaders face is managing the tension between, and you have mentioned that, conformity and authenticity. How much do I conform to organizational norms, regulations, yeah, or something what is defined as the organizational culture, and how much am I staying authentic, yeah, especially in executive settings where the pressure to fit in is highly intense. So navigating this specific balance of conformity and authenticity requires clarity about identity. So here we come back to branding. It's about, who am I as a person? How do I want to be perceived by those people that I lead in my team within? Yeah. So as a leader, success doesn't come from, blending into the background, fitting into a mold, fitting into rules and regulations and playing by that, having a mask on, losing your identity. It comes from embracing what makes you different. So your individuality is your greatest asset. Yeah? And leveraging your unique strengths and perspectives, you set yourself apart as a who is not only effective, but also then authentic. You need to really own it and step into it. And authenticity doesn't mean, as I said, to ignore organizational norms, yeah? But it means you need to remain true to yourself while within those boundaries of that organization. Yeah? So you are striking a delicate balance by, first of all, embracing your unique self and your unique traits, your strengths, who you are, something that makes you shine and distinctive, with adapting to the needs of the organization.
And how do you help people with that journey?
Well, yes.
Yeah, how do you help people?
So I help them by really, first of all, understanding who they truly are. So that is a process of reflecting on themselves. It's a deep self-reflection, or let's say discovery mission they go into first. It's about their values, their purpose, their unique qualities. Because a strong personal brand isn't about trying to be everything to everyone. It's about identifying and embracing what makes you different. And a lot of people don't know because they always want to fit in. They always want to conform to, right?
So they haven't reflected before. We're
Exactly.
so action oriented that
In order to know what kind of identity you are embracing and pushing out to the world, you need to first have a look inside. You need to know who you are. And that is taking a lot of energy. It takes a lot of effort. People cry. People sometimes are like, oh, wow, I didn't know that. This is really interesting. It took me a while. So it is a process that you need to really go through. Yeah. And your brand, I just want to mention that, should really show your authentic self and not a version of you that conforms to external expectations. Because usually people, and especially leaders, are always checking in with what am I expected to do? What do I need to do here? What do I need to do there? Do I conform here? Am I with organizational, regulations here? But what about inside? And back to you, Kerry, you said, what was that? And can people lead? They are not really that person, something like that.
Yeah, I was thinking about the ugly of it. A matter of fact, I was thinking about, there's you probably know who we're talking about. Everybody knows who we're talking about, the richest man in the world right now. But I don't think he worries too much about conformity. But
that's maybe his brand, part of his brand.
Well, that was kind of where I was going.
Oh, sorry, Kerry.
That his boards, though, because there are several organizations that he is on top of that are doing some tremendously courageous and outstanding things. And I would imagine that if I were on the board of those companies, his personal brand would make me a bit nervous about the continued success of the organization beyond him. So how do you deal with the ugly of a leader that may be dealing, challenging the board or whatever for the brand?
Yeah, I mean, there are two. I mean, there's the good, as we know, there is the bad and there's the ugly. And even though the bad is already concerning, because there's always this disconnect between the leader's personal brand, that's what we're talking about, and the national culture. Yeah, and that brings kind of a disarray. It's kind of an ambiguity. It's kind of concerning. It's kind of, unclear what is going on. And that is not good because people, I mean, not everyone is in a board, but people that you're leading feel discomfort. So what is going on? Where are we really going? Something is not quite right here. Yeah. So you lose the trust of your employees. Yeah. So there is then this inconsistent leadership that is happening, whether in communication, also in decision making. Leaders treat their people because there is also no clear idea of how we lead as an organization. What do we commit to? Yeah, and that breeds disengagement. Yeah, of the people. You lose them. So either they internally quit already and looking for other jobs, or they're not giving their best version every day. Yeah. And you need people, especially when you are applying compassionate leadership, you get people to go the extra mile. Yeah. And the key to that is to avoid this is transparency. So you really need to be clear on areas where the company can grow, create open channels for feedback. Also, you as a leader be open to vulnerability. Show that you're a human being, making the hard decision in a human way, being transparent. Yeah. So that fosters a culture of trust, showing your authenticity, being vulnerable, that makes people to buy in.
Yeah.
Makes people to trust you, that makes people to follow you no matter what. And the ugly, that was the bad. But the ugly is when a culture becomes toxic. Because you're leading within a high pressure environment. There is no compassion. And you're leading with fear. I was in such an organization. People are afraid. People act in fear. It happens when there is a culture of overwork, when there is a culture of competition, when there is a culture of unethical behavior, and that is a slippery slope. Yeah. And so that's damaging not only the organizational culture in a sense, so that people act with fear, that people want to leave, that people are not speaking what they really think. It's people.
Have you seen that happen with any of your clients where their branding, they get clear on their core, their mission, their purposes you're talking about, and then they go out in the culture and things start being different with the employees and with the business? Can you tell us about one of those?
Yeah. I jobs with companies where at the end of the day, there were 2 people that actually quit. Because it became so obvious, so clear. This is not where I want to stay. This is not where I grow into as a person. This does not align with my value set. And I have one-on-one coachings as well, where they do this coaching, where they know and understand, okay, I need to do something, also designs within the company. It's about downsizing. I don't know where I stand. So I really want to play safe and do something about, a personal development, leveling up, and be ready. And so it becomes so clear. And I think it really depends on, and this is also what I do in my workshops, it's about the value set that you live and breathe by every day, your personal value set. So personal and professional is basically one thing. You cannot have a personal value set and then let go and enter the company and then you are in a professional value set. There is alignment, right? So if the value set with you as a person, as a leader, does not align with the organization's value set, something that you as a culture, there's disconnect.
And that benefits the company too, that people leave that aren't aligned with it, then that frees up the company culture and energy too. So it's not, doesn't mean that there's anything necessarily wrong with the company culture. It's just these people aren't aligned with it. Yeah.
And very often it happens with a new tenure. A new CEO steps in, or a small family enterprise where a young person, is you call that predecessor, it's someone who is taking over. Yeah. So this is a process you should not underestimate, because with that new person, new culture that is created, it's shifting. It has a different, there's a different meaning attached. This person might apply a different leadership, has new ideas, a new vision where the company is going. So there needs to be alignment. And if you're not aligned with this anymore, either you can align, you figure out a way of make this happen, that also you still are true to yourself. And if this is not possible, it's gonna be hard on you. And that's also when a lot of people burn out, because it doesn't go along with their values anymore. And I see that with a lot of my clients who are in their mid-40s. So we're suddenly shifting. Yeah.
I think you're speaking to, you can correct me if I'm not if I'm wrong, but I think lots of times when we're talking about leadership branding or branding of leaders, that we think of the top people. We've referred to that somewhat today. You've talked about that, but it really means at any level, right? Anybody, because I'm leading my own life, whether I'm leading a team or, I mean, and actually I've done a lot of work myself to help everybody in the organization think of themselves as a leader, instead of a follower, and how can I show up that way? So it sounds like that you do work with people that anybody in an organization of, yeah, what's my branding? Even though it's called leadership, it's not a role as much as it is maybe a motivation or something like that.
Exactly, because everyone is leading their own ship. So you need to first lead yourself, or be able to lead yourself in order to be able to lead others. And there are these aspiring leaders to become in an organization. I have people that I coach, they are promoted into new positions. Suddenly they take responsibility. Suddenly they have a team of people to lead. So you are taking on a different within the organization. It becomes more so the typical leadership role in an organization where you have to exert a certain executive presence. And it's a fantastic, I think, a fantastic experience also for me to see how my clients are evolving. The transition they are going through, where they were at the beginning and where they are at after that, and it's continuously improving, and your brand is also changing and elevating and evolving over time. That's why, because then I'm asked, so if I'm the leadership brand, then there is no point in time, because it's a continuous process. You start here and then you have an audience in this very moment, but your audience also may change with your development. And that's the beauty of it. It's nothing that is cut in stone, because you are changing, so your brand is changing. And you always have to have a look at the here and now, but also what you want to become, what your aspirations are to be in the future. And we also have to or look at the term become or becoming. You want to become in the future, there's also an end state. But actually become is a term that is also a dynamic process, because we are always becoming. We never stop until we drop dead. It's like that. The question is how you show up, how you are using that dynamic, and what learnings do you take away, what challenges are you taking on, are you playing safe, staying in your comfort zone, having this fixed mindset, or are you challenging yourself and see there is a possibility, an opportunity to grow? So then step out of your comfort zone. You take that challenge. And I think that is something that brings passion and life into our life.
And their organization too, and their team. Yeah.
So it's something beautiful. It's beautiful to see something grow, yourself, your organization, and being in a team. And it's about how you treat your team, and also how much you're willing to delegate, so that they also take on responsibility. We always talked about this, service leadership and service-based leadership. Yes, we always serve, always. But it's also about the common denominator, the higher good of all of us. It's not we serving the others. Sure, we are responsible as a leader, and we are helping others to their greatness and bringing their greatness out of them, but also delegating responsibility. How can I help you to achieve that? What can we all together do to achieve that what every single person cannot do alone? So it's more a values-based, a purpose leadership thing. It's more than just serving. It's as a group of people where one is a leader, brings about something that you cannot do alone.
Beautifully said. Beautiful.
And yeah, and you can only do that when you are a compassionate leader. Yeah, that is being empathic plus taking action. Because just feeling into someone is nice. I'm an empathic person, but also I want to help. We want to find a solution to bring you to happiness. And if you can do that with your team, that everyone is striving, and has this, is inspired and wants this and want to achieve this higher good for us, I think that is the perfect scenario.
Exactly. That's perfect leadership. Perfect for the organization. Perfect for the person. Perfect for the team. Yeah.
This
And for
like
society, if I'm really living that way. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, we know there is perfection, and we should go away from that. But it's the idealistic goal, or the best case scenario that we are striving for. So I think we always should have that in mind.
Fantastic. Well, we are having another fantastic conversation with Dr. Brigitte Bojkowszky. Hopefully I got your name correct. I did not get it correct. Sorry.
It's with Brigitte.
But Dr. Brigitte of Brigitte Brands. And so we invite you to come back for part 2 of the conversation. Until our next episode, let your leadership brightness and let your light shine. Thank you.
In the Leadership Luminaries Lounge, we sit and chat with Peggy and Kerry, where wisdom's at. They sprinkle insights like morning dew in this lounge where knowledge blooms anew. With every episode, they set the stage, sharing golden nuggets, turning life's next page. From boardroom tales to dreams out loud, they uplift a thought and make you proud. Oh, swing and sway with Peggy and Kerry in the lounge where visions are merry. Take a seat, let your worries retreat in the Luminaries Lounge where leaders meet.